Have you been looking for a 2D version of Doom? I know I have. Well, look no further. I found it, and today we're breaking it down in today's Indie Game Breakdown. Alright, welcome back to the channel, everyone, where we break down the indie game that we're also going to post the gameplay of in the next 15-20 minutes after this video. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button so you can see more of the content coming up on indie games just like this. But today we're taking a look Rising Hell. Now what we're going to do today is we're going to break this game down into 3 categories and take a little bit deeper of a look at what this game did so well. The 3 categories are going to be gameplay, graphics, and audio. Now, you might be familiar with this system, and we're going to give it a rank on kind of a subjective ranking from not present, which should not happen on this game, all the way up to elite. We're going to give it a medal on that ranking, and these rankings are more for where the game currently sits, and it isn't a ranking on ability or anything. It's more for guiding me on giving advice on what to do in the future. Alright, the first category we got is gameplay. Now this game is fantastic. It's a run up the level and kill all the demons and fight bosses, and it's fantastic. It does a fantastic job at doing that. It looks great while doing it, and everything meshes towards that, from the visceral audio to just the fantastic and gory visuals that you see while playing this. Now all that feeds into the gameplay because this gameplay is pretty relentless. There isn't much time where you get to just hang out and move around the map. There's constantly something you have to pay attention to, and the game doesn't hold your hand going forward, which I think works really well for this type of gameplay. If you're looking for something that is really difficult, and you want players to understand that this game is not going to be easy, one of the things to do is just throw obstacles at them in a non-tutorial style gameplay. Instead of just putting them through a tutorial and then putting it to them, you just introduce it on its own in normal gameplay, and then quickly ramp it into scenarios where you're going to find it. One example that I think stands out really well here is the floor spikes. I didn't know what they did, and I wasn't given a heads up that they were going to be there. They were just on their own. There wasn't an enemy around, and there were only 2 of them right next to each other, so I could only take so much damage from them. And that's another thing you can do in your games. If you want somebody to understand that it can deal damage to you, let it deal a little bit of damage. Not enough to kill you, because if it kills you right off the bat, it doesn't feel fair. But if it does like 5 to 10% of your health on the first hit, then you understand, okay, avoid this, it does damage. And that's kind of like that feedback that doesn't need text, it doesn't need tutorials, it's just there. You understand it, gamers get it. Something I also think that was done pretty well in this game is that the combos, or at least I think they are combos. You didn't know that they were combos, but you just start attacking things and using the controls in front of you, and you start to realize, wait a second, okay, if I jump into this enemy, it does a cool combo that takes me up higher. Okay, good to know, I'll log that away for later. And again, it's not a scenario where they need to do it to get through the level. They're allowed to just encounter it. Like, it's just set up in the level where they would naturally encounter it. And it's a great way to teach players how to get into your game, but also set precedents that they need to explore a little bit. It's not like you just drop them in a sandbox and they have to figure out that, oh, this is a sandbox. It's a combat game. They already know that. They can see that from the graphics. It's going to be difficult. And they enter into knowing that I don't see a tutorial, so I'm going to have to figure some things out. They gave me the controls, so I got to try those. And they know to try that stuff out, and that they'll discover things that you didn't necessarily tell them. So I think that's a fantastic way to do that. One note that on some of these enemies that I see coming across the level, like, they have little visuals on them, and sometimes they don't feel super unique. Like, you have your cannon fodder minions, which are the little guys flying around or the little guys crawling across the floor. You got those ones that charged on you, and I figured those ones out. But I didn't figure out what was unique about some of the other enemies, like the demons flying around. I didn't really know what they were there to do. The bosses felt super unique in the 2 that I actually fight before I completely suck at the game, but they felt super unique and really well designed, so very well on that. Alright, so plugging this into the meter, I'm going to give this one I'm on the border between proficient and elite. I'm going to say this is a subjective elite because I love the gameplay. I love the challenge of it, and I love that it's a playthrough to get the highest score, and then you're done. You got to come back and you learn a bunch of stuff. Like, oh, okay, that's how you beat that room, and then you might come up on it later because you can recognize the rooms and the names of the room, and you can avoid certain levels, or you can go to ones that you know you're better at. And I really like that kind of dynamic battle sequence, and you get to bosses, like, okay, some of them are easier, some of them are harder. It doesn't seem like, at least in my gameplay, there's a way to avoid certain bosses, but you know what to do. Like, you enter and you see the name, okay, this is how I gotta fight this one. I can take a hit or two here, or I can't take a hit or two here. Stuff like that. So, well done on that. Let's get moving on to the next category. Alright, now we're talking about the visuals in this game. That's all the graphics that you see, from the menus to the loading screens to the gameplay. And these look amazing. I love the style that you went with on this game, and everything feels, like, with the visuals in this game, it feels that much more aggressive. And it feels just fantastic. It looks amazing. The gore, the effects from all the different weapons that you can pick up also look great, and I loved using it. It makes you feel just that much more powerful. And I felt like there was camera shake, and that really added an entire level to it. All the attacks looked cool. The one thing I'll say, like the bullets coming out of one of the bosses I fight, like the projectiles that the enemies throw, they look like they could use a little bit more. I like that it was really easy to pick them out against the background. It's not like they blended in. It was very clear to see, hey, there's a projectile coming at you. Like, I'm talking about the small ones. They could use a little bit of polish, but other than that, everything looked great. The lightning effect from one of the gauntlets looked fantastic. I don't even know how you did that. It looked super smooth. I expected my frames to drop. Then again, I do have a pretty high-end computer, so maybe that wouldn't have happened. And the menus looked pretty good too. I did like that character select screen and how it communicated that, hey, there's more characters coming, there's going to be more stats, there's going to be more items you can pick up. And I'm looking forward to see what that future development holds. So, plugging this into the rating, as far as visuals go, I think I'm going to have to give you an elite as well on this one, because of how detailed the characters look, how smooth everything flowed, and how nice everything looked together. The only thing I could really take away points from is from the projectiles, but even those were done well enough that, like, it's clear that they're gonna hurt me, and it's very easy to pick them out on the menu, so very good job there. And the last category that we're looking at today is audio. Now, the music in this game sounds pretty good, and the sound effects are pretty good as well. They all fit in to fuel that aggressive and hellish theme that the game is really going for. So I think it's done really well, and I think I remember I played like 10 minutes ago, or for you, in 15 minutes. Be sure to check that out, and also don't forget to subscribe and like to check that out. But I feel like the music could have been changing a little bit more based on what was going on. The sound effects were really good, the attacks sounded good, and the enemy death sounds were really good. I really did like the rock and metal backing music. I think it would have been cool to have a little bit more of a themed music for each room, but then again, maybe you had that and I just was too busy trying not to die that I missed it. But overall, the sounds felt very good, and they played into it that it was a huge part of the game. This is kind of in contrast to the breakdown we did last week of Gravity Song, where you kind of wanted the music to fade into the background, or you leave the game in that one. You didn't want players to remember the music, you wanted them to remember how easy it was to jump into the game. In this one, the music needs to be at the forefront. And the developer did a really good job of making sure it was up front there, and you understood that, like, when that music comes on, you know the type of game you're starting with. It's the same reason Doom has that metal music, is because you know the intensity that you're about to go into. It just kind of subtly communicates to the player what's about to happen, and so the developer does a great job of making this feel high energy with visuals and visuals and graphics. This is something. But keeping that music at that same energy level that the player is experiencing in the game, to make sure the whole game feels really cohesive and really fun to play. So, with that, I am going to give this game a proficient on the audio. The only change that I would really make is just having the music be a little bit more dynamic based on what's going on. I really like the audio tracks, they're all fantastic, so this is by no means a negative mark. But I think having the audio kind of ebb and flow volume-wise as well would also help a little bit. But overall, very well done. Alright guys, so that wraps it up for today's breakdown of Rising Hell. If you guys want to check the full play, again, hit that subscribe button and like button and check it out. In the next couple minutes, I'll be releasing that video for you. In summary, this game, for gameplay, I'm giving an elite. For graphics, it gets an elite. And for audio, it is getting a proficient. Overall, a fantastic game that you should check out on itch.io. Again, it is the demo, and it is for free. I hope you guys check it out and let me know what you think. But otherwise, I will see you in the gameplay.